In today's episode, an elderly woman out with her morning swim group is stalked by a massive great white shark. After separating from her group, she is singled out and targeted by the shark. Within minutes of separating from her group, the shark attacks, swallowing the elderly woman whole. Hit that like button and subscribe right now. Welcome to Final Affliction. Swimming in the ocean has been popular throughout history for its proven physical, mental, and spiritual benefits. Seawater helps to relax your muscles, improves your mood, and cleanses your aura, leading to an all-around better quality of life. Although the pastime is popular across the generations, the older a person gets, then the more benefits they will receive from swimming in the sea. As a result, lots of elderly people will swim every day to improve their flexibility, especially if they live near the ocean. In most places of the world, there would be little risk associated with the hobby, aside from the occasional friendly fish encounter. But as most people know, the Australian waters are home to some of the world's most venomous fish, as well as the most dangerous sharks. Even if you know the area well, and you've visited the same beach thousands of times before, you never know when your luck will run out in Australian waters. 63-year-old Christine Armstrong was in a good mood. Not that she was ever in a particularly bad mood. She had just returned home after her holiday in New Zealand, where she had been able to explore the country and relax. Although she had a good time, she always loved her day-to-day life and was happy to return and get back into her normal routine. Among other things, her favorite part of her day was her daily swim in the sea in Tathra. She lived very close to the ocean, something that she had carefully planned with her husband when they moved there, as she was an avid swimmer and ocean enthusiast. She had been coming to the same spot every morning for the last 14 years, so she knew the area better than most. She preferred to swim alone, but was always happy when people wanted to come with her, especially her husband, Rob Armstrong. Rob had lived in Tathra for 60 years and had watched as the area had gradually become overrun with sharks. Although they used to be hunted by local fishermen, this practice had been banned in the 90s, leading to a population increase. He had always worried about his wife swimming there, but she had never reported seeing any sharks while she was out, so he thought that maybe he was overreacting. He would soon come to realize just how right he was, in the worst way possible. On April 3, 2014, Christine and her husband went to their usual swimming area with a couple of friends, ready to swim the 250-meter circuit that they regularly swam. Chatting as they approached the beach, Christine was telling them all about her trip to New Zealand while they listened intently to her every word. She was happy to have such close friends, and as they began to swim out, she felt at peace now that she was back home again. After they got a little way out to sea, Christine changed her mind about the morning swim. Her body was aching from the flight the day before, so she decided to head back to shore instead, leaving her husband and her friends to complete the circuit alone. Telling everyone that she would meet them back on shore, she began to head back. They had already made it quite far out from shore, but she was confident that she would make it back without a problem. As she swam, she admired her surroundings and watched as her friends disappeared from sight. She was sad about not being able to complete her daily swim, but was sure that her body would feel better tomorrow. What she didn't know is that she was being stalked by a huge shark beneath her, which was watching her movements and readying itself for the attack. It had been attracted to the area by the smell of a rotting shark corpse nearby, but was more than happy to hunt for easy prey. Unfortunately, today would not be Christine's lucky day, and before she even knew what had happened to her, she was silently pulled beneath the waves by the massive shark as the animal swallowed her whole. The rest of the group had no idea what had happened and were still completing their circuits, thinking that Christine would be waiting for them on the shore when they got back. Once they were finished, they started racing back to shore, but Rob had a bad feeling as they rounded the bay. Scanning the water, he suddenly spotted a large dark mound in the water and immediately identified it as a large bronze whaler shark. With birds circling, he knew that the shark had caught something, and they would have to be careful not to attract its attention. He saw his friends heading straight for it, as they clearly hadn't spotted it yet. He began shouting out to them to stop and turn around. He caught up to them before they swam straight into it, and decided that the best way to avoid an attack would be to form a barrier together. They knew that if the shark were to attack, it would go for a singular victim. If they stuck together in a chain, the shark was less likely to attack. Luckily, this worked, and they were able to escape unharmed. As they laughed with each other about what a close call that was, Rob realized that someone was missing: his wife. He was expecting her to greet them on the shore, but she was nowhere to be seen. He began to panic and started to ask people on the beach if they had seen her leave the water, to which they replied no. No one had come out of the water except them. They started to search the areas that she could have gone, as maybe the beachgoers had missed her when she left the sea. They checked the changing rooms and the car, but she wasn't there. So they decided to head back into the water to see if they could see her. They hoped that she had maybe continued swimming by herself in a different part of the ocean and just hadn't come in yet, or had left the water on a different beach. But as time passed, they began to realize that this was more and more unlikely. Afraid to swim into the water after seeing the large whaler shark, they took a boat out and started their search. While calling out her name as they went along, they suddenly found clear evidence that they would never see Christine again: human remains. There was not much left, but by the amount of blood that was staining the water, they knew that she must have died. Realizing the worst had happened, Rob called for the emergency services, stating that there had been a shark attack. They arrived quickly and began to scan the waters, where, among the blood and carnage, they were able to retrieve the swim cap and goggles belonging to Christine. Rob was devastated. It was never determined what species of shark was responsible for Christine's death. Although there was the large whaler shark seen by the swimmers, it was thought that a great white shark would be more likely due to the expected size of the animal. It was suspected that Christine was killed instantly, swallowed whole by the animal, something a whaler shark would have had a hard time doing. The authorities stated that they wouldn't search for the shark responsible and instead focused on educating people about the dangers of the beach. More and more illegal fishermen had been visiting the area in the last few years and would place bait to attract the animals. They began to increase their watch in the bay to ensure that this practice would stop in order to save more lives in the future. Although horrified by the death of his wife, Rob was relatively optimistic about the last moments of her life, stating that she must have been nearly instantly killed, as the shark that he had spotted had been so large. He and others in the group that day estimate the shark they saw to be around 6 meters long, making it double the size of even the largest bronze whaler shark. With very little remaining of Christine, it was assumed that the animal must have swallowed her almost entirely, leaving nothing for her family to find besides her goggles and cap. Although Rob was depressed after Christine died, and it was difficult for him, he continued living his life as much as he could. He still swims with the same group to this very day, despite the horrible memory of witnessing his wife's terrifying final affliction.